Hello stars, welcome back to the channel. This is Gwendolyn. This video is going to be a video on the new moon in Sagittarius. So there's a lot going on with this new moon. It's pretty exciting one. There's a lot of fire energy to it. You can see down here in this elements chart, nearly half of the planets or available aspects are in Sagittarius, and it's a Sagittarius rising. And Sagittarius has to do with optimism, has to do with enthusiasm. It's a fire sign, so there's lots of fire available. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the aspects that are going on with this new moon, especially in relation to the nodes. And this new moon is also conjunct Juno, which is the asteroid having to do with marriage, with soulmates, with deep partnerships. So it's conjunct this new moon. So there's a lot of brand new, fresh energy aligning with this new moon. And as you know, new moons are times to set new intentions, the formation of new ideas, new intentions, new beliefs, new energy towards wherever that new moon is falling. So there's a lot of beautiful energy here, especially in terms of partnership, marriage, soulmate connections, long-lasting partnerships here with Juno. Juno was the goddess who was married to Zeus, so she is the goddess of again, marriage, partnerships, close relations, soulmate connections, all of that. So I'm going to go through what's going on with this new moon in general, and then I will go through what it means for each of the signs. I'm just wanting to point out again all this fire energy that's happening. You know, I think it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about seven planets are being aspected in fire. Six here, including the ascendant in Sagittarius, and then this one over in Aries over here. So it's lots of fire energy, and I'm going to offer that fire energy is basically like fuel. It can be used for constructive purposes, like driving your car or powering something. That's fire energy. It can be used to power something, or it can be used to destroy. So there's really a lot of choice involved here at this new moon. Choice of focus. Are you going to use all this fire energy to create something, to power something, to take it to the next level, to charge it and fuel it? Or is it going to be used for blowing something up or destroying something? I mean, there's a lot of Neptune energy that's being aspected here, or Virgo energy. That's where the North Node is hitting here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Sagittarian influence is, and then also its relation to the nodes here, the North Node in Virgo and the South Node conjunct Neptune here in Pisces. So, and I also want to point out too, in all the aspects, you can see down here in the aspects being made, there's a lot of squares, which in traditional astrology means conflict or tension, but it can also be used as, I often view squares as like the tension in a bow. And it's funny because that's what we have here with Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the archetype of the archer. So it is like pulling that bow back, creating all of that tension. And the question is, where do we want to aim that? Where do we want to release all of that tension to? So I call squares dynamic tension, because if they're harnessed correctly, that bow can be used to harness that energy and to apply it to a specific point. So that's what I'm seeing here with this new moon, is an opportunity to harness new energy and all this dynamic tension to a singular point, and it's going to be about taking aim. Do we want to take aim towards destroying something or creating something new? Are we going to further our aim into fantasy, illusion, erosion, or are we going to further it here towards practicality and life on Earth? That's what the choice between Virgo and Pisces. North Node in Virgo versus South Node in Pisces. So lots of potential energy is what I'm going to say here. And with all this fire, it's almost like a bow on fire. And where do we want to aim that? So again, is it going to be a destructive, chaotic force? Or is it going to be something that ignites something, ignites a new passion, ignites a new dream, ignites a new vision? So I also wanted to mention the Sabian symbol. Since Juno is conjunct this new moon, the sun, moon, and Juno are all conjunct at the last tail end of 7 degrees Sagittarius here, almost conjunct this ascendant here. So when we look at the Sabian symbol, we always round up to the next degree. And 8 degrees Sagittarius, the symbol for that is deep in the depths of the earth, new elements are forming. And that couldn't be more symbolic than what's happening here with this new moon. We're given the opportunity in this new moon. I'm going to point out this triangle, all of tension aspects. We've got the North Node here in Virgo and the South Node here conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and they're both in a dynamic square with this new moon conjunct Juno, the asteroid of partnership. So there is an opportunity. There could be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism about soulmate connections, about new visions, new ideas, new paradigms in relation to our beliefs having to do with partnership, having to do with marriage, having to do with soulmate connections. There could be a lot of optimism about partnerships right now with that Sag influence. It's sort of like a new door, walking through a new door regarding our beliefs in partnership. And it's really an opportunity to change that from maybe old visions of fantasy, which Neptune in Pisces, South Node in Pisces, this is very childish, this is very fantasy driven. I call this like Disney character versions, versus North Node is where we're headed in Virgo. This is life on Earth. This is practicality. This is how does it show up in a real way. You can measure things with North Node in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Things are showing up here on Earth, not with all this illusion, fantasy, storybook stuff here with Neptune and Pisces. This is old, dreamy, I'll say childish ways of looking at things. This tense aspect is giving us this new opportunity to have optimism and enthusiasm about life here on Earth. How does partnership, soulmate connections, marriage, what do those definitions and beliefs look like here on Earth? How do we play those out? What does it look like? So this is a very mature energy in relation to marriage, partnership, soulmate connections. And this is a very childish one here. Fantasy, illusion, projecting our childish beliefs onto how we see things. So this is an opportunity for, are we going to shoot that flaming arrow, this Sagittarian, all this fire, optimism, enthusiasm, into believing old things about how we view partnerships, childish fantasies, childish dreams, illusions. This could be lies, deceptions. Are we going to refeed those false beliefs, I'll even say, about how we view partnership or marriage? Or are we going to apply those into concrete evidence of life here on Earth and how that works? So the real opportunity, where are we going to take aim? Where are we going to shoot this arrow? This new moon, new ideas, fresh energy, fresh fire. Where are we going to shoot that arrow? Here, into old fantasies, old beliefs, lies, deceptions, or mature life on earth, concrete examples. How does this show up? This is where we're headed, by the way, into making things more concrete. Excuse me. We just had the nodes shift last year into this Virgo Pisces axis, which is creating more stability, more earth, more concrete, more evidence, more elemental grounded energy. And that works with the Sabian symbol. 8 degrees Sagittarius is deep down in the depths of the earth. Again, this is new energy forming. New elements are forming. That couldn't be more Virgo, North Node in Virgo energy. It's absolutely there. We may not see it here on the surface with all this water energy happening. Neptune has been retrograde for the past several months. For most of 2016, I think it went retrograde in the summer, and it just went station direct on November 20th. So this is activating this Neptune energy, but it's a question of, do we want to believe old lies, old deceptions, old fantasies, old illusions? That's all Neptune energy. And in Pisces, it goes to this really poetic nature. It can be beautiful in its storybook quality, but what's being called upon now is our choice to apply this fire back to old childish views and visions of fantasy, or do we want, and I'll even say deception, or do we want to channel that new fire energy into mature life here on earth, grounded, clear, precise, defined views of partnership, of marriage, of how we want it to show up in our lives, instead of an idealized, fantastical fantasy illusion version. How does it show up in concrete ways? Virgo, grounded, fact-based, critical analysis. This is all Virgo stuff. So that's a choice that we have. And there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism, a lot of dynamic tension, a lot of fire available to us to ignite either of those directions. So really, really a choice right now. Do you want to head towards a mature, integrated view of that? Or are you going to apply that tension and that energy, that fire, towards reigniting an old paradigm? So really a big choice here, folks, right now, in terms of where all this fresh Sagittarian, optimistic, happy-go-lucky, enthusiastic energy can go. So that's my offering for this new moon in Sag. Where do you want to take aim with your arrow? Where do you want to take this flaming arrow with all this fire energy and apply it? Because where we take aim is where our thoughts and visions will follow. And that is the story that we will see ignite over the next, I'll say, several months until May, because these nodes here will be shifting again in May of 2017 into Aquarius, Leo. So we have an opportunity to define our beliefs, to define our visions, to define what we are igniting, what we're putting this fire towards. And right now is a wonderful time to shoot that arrow in either direction. So are we going to choose maturity, of groundedness, of a beautiful partnership, or are we going to go into fantasy, old lies, old deceptions, old beliefs, old wounds regarding our views of marriage and partnership? So that's an opportunity that we have at this new moon in Sagittarius. So I'm going to go through for each sign and talk about what this new moon in Sagittarius means for each sign. And then I'll be wrapping up with a summary afterwards.
So, to begin for Sagittarius, this new moon in Sagittarius conjunct Juno is in your first house of identity and the self. So, this is a time where you may be seeing a new you emerge, Sag. It has the effect of beginning a new chapter, beginning a new version of the self, a new emergence of your identity. You may see this developing over the course of the next 6 months, Sag, until we see the full moon in Sagittarius, and that is when the new moon will actually emerge. But it's kind of like the shedding of an old skin, or that's actually more full moon energy, but this new moon is the emergence of a new self, a new identity, new visions, new ideas, new fire. There's so much fire going on with this new moon in Sagittarius. There's so many planets here. And then there's also Uranus in Aries that is trining this. So it's like having a flaming arrow in a bow, and you having the opportunity to decide who do you want to become in terms of the new self, the new identity. Who is it that you're going to sort of give birth to in terms of who you are and who your self is over the course of the next 6 months until we get that full moon in Sag. So this is a time, Sag, become that archer. Set your aim very carefully, very precisely, because it's like a flaming bow and a flaming arrow that wherever you shoot it, that will ignite wherever this new fire takes place. So this current new moon in Sag is aspecting with tension. You know, I'll call it again, that bow and arrow theme is very prominent here. There's tension towards the North Node in Virgo, and there's tension towards the South Node in Pisces. And with it conjunct Juno, it really may be a focus on partnerships. Who are you? What is your self? And what is your identity in terms of partnership? How do you view that? Where do you want to go with that in the next 6 months? Are you going to go to there's Neptune conjunct the South Node here in Pisces. So are you going to shoot that arrow into old, childish dreams, fantasy, lies, deception, illusion? You know, maybe lies that you tell yourself about partnership, or old stories, or old paradigms, old fantasy, you know, lies, illusion, deception. Is that where you're going to shoot it? Or are you going to shoot it into life here on earth? Practicality, groundedness, you know, facts. Fantasy versus practicality. You know, fact versus fiction. Where are you going to set your aim? Sagittarius. So that's a big question for you, and it really is focused on your identity and yourself. Who are you? Who do you define yourself to be? That's what this new moon is giving you, an opportunity to open this door and walk through it. It's like a fire, it's almost like a fiery portal with all this fire energy to become a new self, especially in regards to how you view marriage, partnership, soulmate connections. Where do you want to go with that? Fantasyland, emotions-based, or groundedness, earth-based. So it's totally your choice. So that's where it's happening for you, Sag, in terms of the self and your identity. For Capricorn, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 12th house of dreams, of fantasies, illusions, of unity, things related to the unconscious. I'm actually going to say for you, Capricorn, this looks like a new dream happening. Because it's in your house of dreams and the unconscious, and because it's happening in this fiery sign of Sagittarius, which has to do with optimism, enthusiasm, being happy-go-lucky. You know, Sagittarius governs the 9th house, which has to do with higher learning, has to do with spirituality. I'm gonna say that there's a new dream for you happening, Capricorn, and that has to do with spirituality, has to do with optimism, being happy-go-lucky, believing in your dreams. That's really what I'm getting here. It's a new dream that you can believe in, Capricorn. So I'm going to say, pay attention to your dreams right now, both in your sleeping life and in your waking life. See what see what it is that your dreams have to offer you, because there's a new, it's like you can almost ignite a match. There's so much fire energy with this new moon in Sagittarius that it's almost like you have a new match to ignite something regarding your dreams. And it is aspecting partnership themes with, because it's conjunct Juno. So it's saying, do you want to reignite old childish fantasies, illusions, that sort of thing, or do you want to ignite life here on Earth, concrete examples, being grounded? You're an Earth sign yourself, Capricorn, so you can relate to wanting things to be grounded, wanting them to walking on solid ground, rather than all this, 12th house, Pisces, watery illusion fantasy stuff. It's like pursuing a new dream that is grounded in reality. So where are you going to shoot your bow there? Are you going to shoot it more into fantasy, or bringing those fantasies down here onto life on Earth? This is castles in the air. This is the structures and the foundations that are built underneath those castles, Capricorn. You can relate to that. So this is fire energy, optimism, action, being happy-go-lucky, believing in your dreams. Sagittarius is very optimistic. It's very enthusiastic. Use this fire energy, this action, to build structures under your dreams. That's what I'm going to say for you, Capricorn. Great time for the next 6 months to build those structures under the castles of your dreams. Pay attention to your dreams right now. It's a wonderful, you've got new, fresh, vital energy, ideas, new beliefs regarding your dreams. So that's what's coming up for you, Capricorn, with this new moon in Sag. For Aquarius, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 11th house of humanity, community, science, innovation, the collective. So this may be a good time, Aquarius, to have new visions, new beliefs, new thoughts, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism towards how you relate to humanity as a whole, your friends. This may be a great time to begin networking, Aquarius. Who is it that you want to define as your outer community? Who is it that do you want to become a part of a new society, a new structure, a new group? Because new moon is all about new beliefs, new intentions, new beginnings. Setting those intentions of becoming part of 11th house is humanity. It's community. It's who is your outer structure, who are your friends, who's your social circle. I can't talk right now. Social circle. And also innovations in terms of new science. So new breakthroughs in terms of genius, in terms of information coming to you. This is your ruling house, Aquarius, 11th house. So in terms of the genius element, you could have breakthroughs right now regarding new theories, new scientific ideas, new innovations. It's genius energy, and it also can be becoming a new part of a group. So for those of you who are scientists or are involved in science, you may have a lot of insight through your involvements with new groups of people, new scientific communities. For those of you who are not, this may be more of a focus on your friends, your community, your tribe. Who do you see? You may be having desires ignited right now of having a lot of enthusiasm about becoming part of a new group. Becoming part of a new society, new humanity, even for some of you, it may show up as a lot of enthusiasm and energy, fire energy for making new friends and defining who's your group. So right now, Aquarius, that's happening. This new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 11th house of humanity, friends, your outer community, and science, innovation. So enjoy that. Watch that develop over the course of the next 6 months. For Pisces, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 10th house of career, reputation, status. This has to do with how you affect and how you show yourself in the outer world, who you are in terms of your career. So some of you may be having new yearnings in terms of your career, wanting to do something new, take it to the next level. It's a lot of fire energy. So there's like 6 lots of planets happening here in Sagittarius, which is optimistic, enthusiastic, so much fire energy. It's like you have a match right now to ignite something in terms of your status, your reputation, your career. And remember, it's a new beginning. So it's like you have this new seed that's ready to sprout in your 10th house of career, of reputation, of status. It's really time, Pisces, when you can kind of take it to the next level or plant a seed that takes it to the next level. And keep in mind, too, that this new moon in Sagittarius is aspecting both the North Node here in Virgo and the South Node conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So it's an asteroid of partnership. Who might you want to partner with in order to take your career to the next level? This has to do with life on Earth. Virgo has to do with things that are practical, things that are evidence-based, things that have to do with facts, critical thinking, details, versus old dreaming, old fantasies, old paradigms, old beliefs, lies, deceptions, illusions, mythologies. This is very fact and grounded energy. So what it's going to ask you to look at, or give you the opportunity for right now, Pisces, is to take aim with this archer, this bow and arrow that's sort of lit on fire with all this fire energy, conjunct Juno, and say, where do I want my partnerships to happen? Here in grounded, practical, day-to-day Virgo, or into fantasy? Is this old lies regarding partnership, fantasies, childish dreams, illusions, or am I going to take action regarding that to go to the next level in my career, in my status, in my reputation? So that's something to consider. Plant those seeds now, Pisces, because you can watch this develop. This energy will develop over the course of the next 6 months until we get the full moon in Sagittarius. But there's a lot of fire available to you right now. There's a spark, a lit match ready to ignite whichever direction you choose to take aim into. So that's your opportunity for the next 6 months, Pisces, with this new moon in Sag in your 10th house of career, status, and reputation. For Aries, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 9th house of higher learning, of spirituality, of travel, so if there's anything, and of publishing, so if there's anything that you are dreaming of publishing, of putting forth to the world, if there's dreams that you're having of traveling right now, you've got a lot of fresh fire energy in terms of taking a trip, traveling either literally or metaphorically by studying other cultures, other religions, other philosophies. You may begin an epic journey during this time. It's giving you a lot of fresh energy, a lot of enthusiasm, again, optimism in studying another culture, in discovering a new culture, whether it's going to a new place, literally with travel, beginning a new journey of travel, new higher learning, maybe taking another course, publishing something new between now and the next 6 months. This is a good time to begin that. If you have any inklings to travel, to publish, to begin a study of higher learning or of spirituality, philosophy, religion, any of that is featured for you right now, Aries. And keep in mind, too, that this is like a flaming bow and arrow, and you can point it, it's aspecting the nodes, the North Node of Virgo or the South Node conjunct Neptune of Pisces. So this is like dreams and fantasies versus concrete, practical facts. This is fact or fiction. So you can shoot that arrow in either direction, fact or fiction, maturity versus being sort of childish, being grounded versus being, overly watery with all this Neptune energy in Pisces, poetry versus prose. Which way do you want to go? So that's an opportunity for you to cultivate over the course of the next 6 months, Aries, with this new moon in your 9th house in fiery Sagittarius, conjunct Juno. For Taurus, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 8th house, the house of sex, death, and taxes, of transformation. Lots of fire energy in the 8th house. So this could really ignite something in your sexuality, something that you want to explore there. It could also ignite things that have to do with looking into what's been hidden. 8th house is the house of what's hidden. So there's a new moon, new light, new optimism, new enthusiasm, new energy to discover something new, Taurus. And things that are transformative. The 8th house is the house of usually of Scorpio, of Phoenix energy. So it means transforming something, looking into something that's hidden and inquiring into it. The new moon is a time when the moon is dark, and so the moon represents our feelings. So it might be time when you get quiet and look into 8th house matters. Begin something new that may lead you into a transformation over the next 6 months, and you can see that transformation take place when we get that full moon in Taurus 6 months from now. It's also like having a fiery bow right now into questions regarding partnership. So do you want to go into old childhood fantasies regarding partnership because it's aligned with the asteroid Juno? Or do you want to go into more mature, fact-based, evidence-based, grounded versions of partnership? For those of you who are single, it may be, who do you choose as a soulmate? Someone who is, conforming to these old beliefs, ideals, lies, deceptions, about childhood fantasies, about soulmate connections, or grounded, life on earth, practical, what do they look like, or how do they show up, what are their values? That's another earth sign thing, values. So, or if you're in a marriage, it may be shooting that bow, that fiery bow, into, do I want to focus on my fantasy-driven views on marriage, or do I want to focus on what's concrete, what is day-to-day life? That's what Virgo energy is about, practicality. So that's an opportunity for you, Taurus. Over the next 6 months, you could really work on bringing new, fresh energy into a partnership if you are in a committed partnership, or it could draw some new energy and optimism and enthusiasm into that arena for you. So that's an opportunity for you over the course of the next 6 months, Taurus. For Gemini, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 7th house of partnerships. So Gemini, partnerships are really a focus for you with this new moon. You have Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage, of committed partnership, of soulmates, conjunct this fiery new moon with all these planets in fiery Sagittarius, enthusiasm, optimism, and it's squaring the north nodes, which you're also square to. So there's like a huge bow and arrow of tension that you can either shoot this fiery bow and arrow into old beliefs, old illusions, deceptions, fantasies of how you view partnership, or you can shoot that bow and arrow of optimism and enthusiasm into practicality, life here on earth, fact, versus fiction, prose versus poetry. The dry, hard, sober, but very grounded, very stable aspects of partnership can be a focus over the next 6 months in developing those. Or it can be going into like illusion, old beliefs, old mythologies, old paradigms. This is sort of slipping backwards. Or do you want to go forward? This new moon in Sagittarius gives you new ways of looking at partnerships, new ways of defining who a soulmate is, new ways, new beliefs, so that you have new recognition in terms of who is a partner and what do they mean to you, how do they show up? Do they show up as like watery Pisces, Neptune, fantasy stuff, or is it practical? Is it real? Is it grounded? Is it, can you point to the day-to-day workings of that relationship? So, that's new information for you, Gemini, whether you're in a partnership currently or single. There's some new, fresh, optimistic energy. There's a bow and arrow that's on fire. Which direction do you want to send that in? And watch that develop over the course of the next 6 months. For Cancer, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 6th house of day-to-day routines, of practicality, of your health, of schedules, of anything that has to do with what you do on a day-to-day basis, even your work routines. So this is like a fiery bow and arrow, full of optimism, full of fire. There's 6 planets happening over here, or 6 aspects, 6 things that are on fire that you can use this to harness that energy, Cancer. So with this, I'm going to ask, how does partnership, because this is conjunct Juno, how does partnership energy, a marriage, a committed partnership, soulmate energy, how are you interacting with that on a day-to-day basis? You've got some new, fresh energy to redefine that, to have new beliefs regarding that, or new energy, new action. Because Sag is optimistic. Sag is happy-go-lucky. Sag is full of enthusiasm. So you may have new enthusiasm regarding your health or your day-to-day routines, or the way it applies to how you see soulmate connections, how you may have some new optimism with viewing your beliefs about how you think about soulmates, how you think about partnership, how you think about marriage or just a committed relationship. This new moon in Sag is aspecting the nodes here. So it's either old beliefs, South Node conjunct Neptune in Pisces talks about mythologies, illusions, deceptions, lies, fantasy, versus practicality, life here on Earth, grounded energy. This is fact, this is fiction. This is, how things show up on a concrete, grounded energy here. So are you going to take this flaming bow and arrow and shoot it over here into practical matters? What are you doing to connect with partnership on a practical day-to-day basis, Cancer? Or are you going to shoot this arrow into the past, into, mythology, illusion, fog, the Neptunian, fog that keeps things in fantasy or illusion? So that's a choice that you have right now, Cancer, especially regarding your practical day-to-day routines, schedules, anything to do with that. That's where this new moon, this new opportunity is happening for you, Cancer. So think about, what are my daily schedules like? What are my daily routines like? Does my daily schedule or routine allow partnership energy into it? Is it getting to be routine? Is it getting to be sort of faded? You have new, fresh energy, new fire to take it in one direction or the other, Cancer. So that's your opportunity over the next 6 months to fire that arrow into one of those arenas and watch it develop. Harness this optimism and this energy, this fiery energy regarding your partnerships, regarding your day-to-day interactions. So that's your opportunity for the next 6 months, Cancer. For Leo, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 5th house of true romance, of creativity, of children, of true love. And with Juno showing up here, that's the house of, that's the asteroid that governs marriage, governs partnership. So Leo, this could be a time when you either propose to someone or you give someone a proposal. This is new life, new fire in your 5th house of creativity, of transformation. This is your home house, by the way, Leo. 5th house is Leo personified. So this is like a new flaming bow and arrow in your 5th house of creativity, romance, true love, and it's conjunct Juno, so it's soulmate energy. So some of you Leos may be getting married over the course of the next 6 months. You may be giving a proposal or receiving a proposal from a true love, or your true love may be showing up. For some of you, it may be a new creative project that you are just brimming with enthusiasm and energy and optimism right now. Begin that project if that's the case. Some of you may be giving birth to a new child. That's because 5th house also rules children or trying to get pregnant. But this is wonderful, optimistic, fiery energy. This is like a fiery bow and arrow in your golden house, Leo, of your home, of your creativity, your expression, your natural abilities to connect with others on a heart level. It's a wonderful time for you to begin something new. Take that next step through this fiery portal Sag, Leo, because it's like having a bow and arrow that's on fire. And a question right now is, do you want to, because this new moon in Sag is conjunct the asteroid Juno of partnerships, and it's squaring these South and North nodes, South node conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and North node in Virgo, do you want to take all this fiery optimism and put it into fantasy or an enthusiasm? Do you want to put that into fantasy or into practicality? How does partnership and love show up for you? True love, soulmate, show up for you on a day-to-day concrete basis. This is North Node in Virgo. So this is calling you to be practical. This is saying, how does it show up in a grounded, mature way, North Node, versus the old childhood fantasies, lies, deceptions, illusions, old stories, mythologies regarding partnership and marriage. How is that? Are you going to continue to believe in old stories, or are you going to find evidence for new life on Earth? That's a question that is available to you right now with all this enthusiasm and energy at this new moon. I encourage you to take a step through that fiery portal, whatever that means for you, and watch it develop over the next 6 months. So I'm very excited for you, Leo. This must be a fun time for you. Full of opportunity if you're willing to shoot that bow. For Virgo, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your 4th house of home, of parenting. Your 4th house, it really has to do with your home life. So for some of you Virgos, you may be moving to a new home. This is full of optimism. This new moon in Sagittarius, it has a lot of optimism, a lot of enthusiasm available to it. It is actually squaring the North Node in Virgo and the South Node in Pisces conjunct Neptune. And there's a focus on partnerships. So some of you may have your partners moving into your home. Some of you may be moving into the home of your partners. This is a new chapter, new fiery energy, optimism, idealism. And because it is conjunct the asteroid of Juno, which has to do with marriage and partnerships, it's really saying, are you going to focus your aim, your intention into old beliefs, Piscean mythology? With Neptune here, it's a focus on deception, illusions, lies, old stories and mythologies, or are you going to ground that energy and make it practical? Like, how does my relationship to partnership show up? Is there a new belief that I can have regarding even like childhood themes that used to exist? Because this is new moon in your 4th house, it's new beliefs, new feelings regarding childhood, regarding home life, regarding all the things that are going on in the home. So this could be a time to really find evidence, facts, grounding things regarding how you view partnership, especially partnerships regarding the home. Maybe this is partnership with a parent, or your feelings, beliefs with your partner, or who you want your partner to be, how you want it might be a new version of seeing someone who's in your home in a new way, having new feelings about them, finding evidence for that instead of going into the old habits of patterns of illusion that's happening here in South Node with Neptune. So enjoy this new home energy, Virgo. It could be a good time to work on something in your home, like interior decorating. Any home-based projects will be featured. Starting something in the home. This could even be like starting a new business that's home-based, or starting something with your partner in your home that allows you to find evidence for facts rather than fiction out in the world. There's a lot of things regarding the home, new energies, new beliefs, welcoming new things into the home right now for you, Virgo. So enjoy that. For Libra, this new moon in Sagittarius is in your 3rd house of communication and expression. So this is all about conveying things in a positive, optimistic way. You, Libra, are all about being the peacemaker, the person who's focused on relationships, sowing justice, sowing equality, sowing, focusing on the partner. And this New moon in Sagittarius is all this fiery energy in your third house of expression, communication. So this may mean that you begin a new way of speaking, that you begin a new launch of, say, even public speaking, or the way you speak, the way you communicate personally. You have a lot of fiery, optimistic, enthusiastic energy here. So this could be beginning a new becoming a DJ and expressing things over the airwaves. This could be expressing yourself in terms of the language you use, learning a new language. This could be the way that you express yourself has a new opportunity. So you may say things in a more fiery, dynamic, Sagittarian way. Sagittarians are known for being very blunt and very direct. So this may be a new opportunity to incorporate Sagittarian themes with all this fiery optimism, happy-go-lucky, just being very blunt, being very direct. That's an opportunity for you, Libra, right now. And Sag is a very happy-go-lucky, fun-loving, optimistic, enthusiastic sign. So it could be like bringing that into your mode of speech, your mode of expression. If you're an artist, that governs third house energy as well, too. So it's the way that you communicate. You may communicate in a more direct style. This new moon in Sagittarius also has to do with new beliefs regarding partnership. So for you Libras who really do put a big weight on partnership, Juno's here. She is the goddess that rules partnership, that rules soulmate connections, that rules marriage. And it's in a tense aspect with the North Node in Virgo here and the South Node conjunct Neptune here in Pisces. So what it's saying is there's this fiery bow and arrow. Are you going to fire it into concrete, evidence-based facts, the way that you relate to partnership, the way that partnership shows up in your life, or into old illusions, old dreams, old fantasies here regarding partnerships? So you have an opportunity, Libra, to take all this enthusiasm, all this energy, all this communication for you based stuff. Are you going to communicate as though the old childish dreams, fantasies, illusions are wanting to be focused on, or life here on Earth? What does partnership look like in terms of concrete evidence of how you interact with your partner, or who you would like to partner with? So that's an opportunity. I'd say you need to really, an opportunity is available to start communicating in a very direct, optimistic, happy-go-lucky, enthusiastic way about partnerships, expressing things. So that's an opportunity for you right now, Libra. It's all about communication, expression, finding new languages, new ways, new beliefs to express yourself, especially regarding changing old illusions, fantasy, versus facts, versus life here on Earth, concrete things that tangible results. So that's what's going on for you. That's the opportunity here at this new moon in Sag, Libra. For Scorpio, this new moon in Sagittarius is happening in your second house of assets, possessions, values, money, things that are tangible, things that you own. So new moon, first thing with new moon in Sagittarius in the second house is it gives you a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of optimism about things that you can own, Scorpio. So if there's been something that you've been wanting to draw to yourself in terms of a tangible asset, new moon in Scorpio gives you a lot of energy, a lot of fire towards going out and getting that thing. It also, because there's so much fire energy here, there's really a focus on what do I own, what do I have, and because it's conjunct the partnership asteroid of Juno, it may be saying, who's my partner? Who can I rely on? Who is someone? It may have to do with addressing too your possessiveness, because this is the house of what you possess, and this is a new moon of new beliefs, new feelings. It may open you up to looking at, what do I think about possessing something or someone? It may bring up issues for you, Scorpio, about possessiveness. What do I own? What do I have? What is mine? What is not mine? So I want you to consider, with this new moon in Sagittarius, there's so much fire energy here. I want you to consider, I want to because it's aspecting both North Node in Virgo and South Node conjunct Neptune in Pisces, do I want to send all this fire energy back into old fantasies about how I view partnership, old illusions, deceptions, all this watery energy that you can kind of get lost in because you're a water sign too? Or do I want to focus it here on life here on earth, groundedness, what's real, what's tangible? I mean, second house is about tangible stuff. So by channeling this optimism, this enthusiasm, all this fire energy, this action-based stuff, where are you going to point your arrow? Into things that have to do with fact, reality, being grounded, or here in illusion, reigniting those old dreams, old fantasies about soulmate connections, about who your partner is. Real time of exploration for that, and an opportunity for new beliefs, new feelings, a new course over the next 6 months, Scorpio, that you could really connect with a soulmate. If you're in a partnership, you could develop a new phase of that relationship, or you could have a new belief about partnership, a new belief about what it means to own or possess something, a new idea, a new feeling, versus what is fantasy based or what is real life here on earth. Fact versus fiction, practicality versus fantasy. So that's your opportunity, Scorpio. Lots of fire energy going on, and it's a question of which way do you want to harness it. So that's my reading for everyone for this new moon in Sagittarius. Enjoy and harness all this fire energy. It's really optimistic, it's really enthusiastic, and it really, has a focus on our beliefs regarding partnership, regarding marriage, all those Juno themes. So a question is, do we want to go towards the North Node of maturity, practicality, life here on Earth, fact, or do we want to go back into fiction, which is Neptune and Pisces South Node, the dreams and illusions and fantasies? Do we want fantasy, or do we want practicality, which is North Node in Virgo? Do we want to shoot this arrow and ignite something in terms of reigniting old mythologies, old deceptions regarding partnership and marriage, or soulmate connections? Or do we want to find evidence for it here with life on earth? Grounded Virgo themes, crossing T's and dotting I's, things that are practical, things that are grounded, fact or fiction, practicality or fantasy. That's something that we all have, all of this fiery Sagittarian optimism, enthusiasm. What direction do we want to go in? Because that's available to all of us, and we can watch the effects of that happen over the next 6 months. So enjoy this, everyone. Enjoy, connections that you may be making with others. Enjoy the fiery, optimistic, enthusiastic energy of this Sagittarian new moon. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, yours in the stars.